Woke athletes suddenly acknowledge there's a difference between men and women? We must cancel them. Welcome to the Jason Rant Show, presented by None Better Tax Resolution. FIFA is studying the potential link between a woman's menstrual cycle and susceptibility to ACL tears. And the research is being celebrated by the woke radical left who, up until this news story, couldn't even define a woman. For years, the prevailing left-wing narrative has dismissed the significance of biological sex differences in athletic competitions. Any assertion of obvious biological differences ends up getting framed as discriminatory or a bigoted attack on identity. Since 2020 especially, the basics of biology was pushed aside in favor of a more fluid, socially constructed understanding of human physiology. Gender is fluid. You can have multiple genders or none at all based entirely on the time of day and your mood. Oh, how times have changed, at least for a few moments. A FIFA commissioned study confronts an uncomfortable truth. Women are 2 to 8 times more likely to tear their ACL than men are. The research suspects that female hormones like estrogen and relaxin, which fluctuate during the menstrual cycle, can increase the risk of injury. This revelation that inherent biological disparities between the sexes influence athletic performance and even susceptibility to an injury kind of seems inconvenient for that established progressive narrative that, well, there are no differences. And yet it's being embraced by woke Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe, who previously, and still, support biological men competing against biological women in sports.
Okay, it's wonderful they're doing the research. I'm never going to bag that. But I'm just like, where has this research been? We've known this. Why has this been pushed to the side or just talked about but not researched? So I feel very frustrated by that. Again, I love that we have the studies, but where has it been? It's 2025.
The evidence is overwhelming. And it's just like this thing that everybody knows. So what I hope is it's not like, 5 years later, like when the research is done, they're going to be like, hey, everybody, you know what we found out? There's a link between your period and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, we already know that. I hope they're studying like what we can do about it or how we can understand it better. All this says to me is like, okay, well then how much more resourcing are we going to allocate to women's teams and to women's leagues and to like the, research around training and diet and nutrition and whatever to like help resource these athletes better.
Both Bird and Rapinoe and all the others celebrating this study stop pretending that there's no differences between men and women, even if it was for just a moment. They know there's an underlying recognition of distinct, undeniable biological differences. And yet they pretend otherwise in interviews when they can earn woke social currency. Talk about hypocrites. For years, these very athletes and their ideological allies have vigorously argued against the notion that biological males who identify as women or trans women possess an inherent physiological advantage over biological females in sports. Any mentions of male puberty, bone density, muscle mass, or lung capacity, they've been denounced as transphobic and discriminatory. We've been warned to ignore these biological realities as completely irrelevant, all in the name of inclusivity. If there were genuinely no relevant biological differences between men and women impacting athletic performance, there would be no logical basis for a study exclusively focused on a female-specific injury pattern like, female-specific biological processes. This situation reveals an inconsistency. On the one hand, biological reality is denied to advance a specific woke political agenda. On the other, biological reality is embraced wholeheartedly when it serves personal performance and injury prevention. In the end, the study exposed the intellectual dishonesty of those who choose to selectively acknowledge scientific truths. Hey, I sat down with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution.
Tell me a little bit about the Fresh Start program, because again, based on how it's promoted, it seems really, really simple.
This Fresh Start program and that phrase has been around for many, many, many years now. But it's a great marketing tool to say, hey, fresh start. And in a way, for those that qualify, it is. What it essentially is an offer in compromise. And to get that, there's 2 main criteria a person must qualify for. 1, they must have limited or no equity in assets. So generally, anyone in the Puget Sound region that owns a home and has for several years, they're going to have a lot of equity. They won't qualify. And the other is an income level. And that all depends upon your family size about how much income that could be. But both of those standards need to be met to qualify. Most people do not.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn of Nunn Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions, 425-947-1967, or Google NUNN, Nunn Better Tax Resolution. Did you like that commentary? Great. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast of The Jason Rantz Show. You can get it at ktth.com or wherever it is you download your podcasts.